Welcome to Broncos Weekend, presented by Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Hello and welcome to Broncos Weekend. I am your host and Denver Broncos team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. And in the studio, we have Denver 7's Bradey King and Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. And later on in the show, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin will join in on the fun. Now, the Broncos bounced back in a big way in Week 11 and now look to keep that momentum going as they face their division rival on the road. Looking at this matchup, the Broncos defeated the Raiders in Week 5 for the first time since 2019. And now in Week 12, the Broncos are looking to get their first win in Las Vegas versus the Raiders. How have you guys seen this team change from Week 5 to now?
Well, I just think that they have a lot of confidence because they beat some good teams. They got really close in that Kansas City game, and they've just built the relationships among each other, and then everyone's showing each other how hard they're playing on the field. Mm-hmm. I think they're a much better team, and the coaching is on point. Everything's going in the right direction. We got to keep it rolling.
Yeah, going off that confidence bit, I think you're seeing a quarterback that now has 11 games under his belt and has just continued to kind of find his stride, find his confidence. He said the game is starting to slow down. Bo Nix, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. Game is starting to slow down to him. And at the beginning of the season, he said he was maybe making more of the NFL than it is, kind of making it bigger than it is. He said, of course, all these players are top tier, but he just needs to be himself. And I feel like we're seeing that week by week, and it's been fun to watch. And I also think we're seeing a defense that is just bought into the game plan and finding consistency. So I think they're in a much better spot than they obviously were in Week 5, although they did win that game against the Raiders.
Yeah, Quinn Miner said there are no more rookies on this team. They have enough time on the field that they finally got their feet wet and really finding their stride. We see Jonah Ellis getting, some big plays there. And you talked about the rookies, but the defensive performance in particular, what have you seen from their play and how dominant they have been?
Like you said, they've been dominant. They know what they're doing. They're physical. The calls are aggressive, and they're putting pressure on offenses. Offenses aren't sitting back patting the ball. They have to get that ball out quickly, and it's really helping our secondary to make plays. And the guys up front, they're getting back there.
They're hunting,
and helping stop the run too. I mean, everything is looking the way that we envision it looking. It took a little bit, but hey, we are where we are right now, and I think that the team feels like they're in a good place. I feel like they're in a good place as well.
Yeah. What they did against the Falcons cannot be understated, holding them to 0 touchdowns, only the second time this year that's happened, just 6 points. The defense was all over Kirk Cousins. I mean, he was being pressured most of the game. Nick Bonito, who you can talk to, also Zach Allen, second in the league in quarterback hits. I mean, this defense has just been putting the pressure on them, and it also helps when your offense is scoring a lot of points as well. They just finally found 100%. That. They played a full game on Sunday, which was nice to see. I felt like the players felt that it was finally that complete game they were looking for.
And I'm sure the offense feels great knowing that, hey, man, we're pulling our weight, and we're actually driving the ball down the field, giving the guys on defense some rest, and nothing that defense loves more than that, getting a little rest and knowing that they got to put in work when they get out there.
Yeah, and Nick Bonito's 9 sacks ranks second in the NFL, so he has been playing very well this season. Well, earlier this week, Pat Surtain II spoke on the defense and how they've been performing and how he's been able to lock down key receivers. Plus, head coach Sean Payton also spoke on preparing to face the Raiders on the road.
When you hone in on your technique and hone in on what's going on, I think your targets get limited for sure. But I like to have more targets at the end of the day because I'm a competitor as well too. So I think all in all, it has to do with me locking in on my opponent and winning my one-on-ones for sure.
Each step it builds confidence. We can't allow it to build complacency, though. In other words, like I said, when we went back and looked closely at the game, man, there's still a number of things that we have to clean up.
Well, in 2024, 10 different Bronco players have a receiving touchdown. The way that Bo Nix has been able to distribute the ball is one thing, but these young guys catching the ball is another.
Yeah, it really has been refreshing to see Devon Bailey come out and do his thing, making those clutch catches. Also, Troy Franklin stepping onto the scene. Now, Bo Nix tried to get him the ball a little earlier in the season. Didn't quite work out, but it's working out nicely now.
They're just giving weapons for Bo, honestly, and I think that the more weapons you have, the more comfy he's going to be feeling back in the pocket, right? And guys that are going to make big plays. So it's been fun to see all of those young guys step up, and I think it just shows that the future is bright for this Broncos team. Not only are they bought into Sean Payton's system, it being year 2, he's getting the guys he wants in here, and I feel like they're starting to shine, which has been cool to see.
Yeah, a lot of these players are just unselfish. Like, they're not divas on this team. They are truly invested in just getting the win, and that's all that matters. I think that's part of the culture that they're starting to build here. And another Bronco that's really been finding his stride is wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. And this season, from making plays on special teams to finding the end zone, he's been all over the place. And I caught up with him after practice as the team prepares to face a division rival in Week 12. Here with Denver Broncos wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. After a big win in Week 11, you guys now shift focus to head west to face the Raiders in Las Vegas. How do you guys keep that momentum from last week to this week?
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of go in, we still have a lot of belief, still riding high off that last win. So just kind of sticking with it, understanding who we're going against, what type of game they like to play, and just going out there and giving our best shot.
From special teams to the end zone, you've been part of every facet of the game so far. Have you embraced this new role?
Yeah, I mean, it's been different for sure. It's taken a lot of different studying and stuff like that. But, I mean, just putting me in different ways, to get the ball, and they believe I'm a really good playmaker when the ball's in my hands. So, just trying to do the best thing I can for the team when the ball's in my hands and, just keep everyone, really confident in myself and also the team.
When you guys have a defense that's performing the way this defense has been performing all season, does it allow you guys on offense to play a little more free?
Yeah, I think for me the most, especially, when they're getting a stop, I'm probably the first person that's happy just because I can go out there and return the ball. But, just how good they are, I think it definitely changes, play calling on offense, decision-making throughout the game, just because we know we have a really good defense that can stop the opposing offense.
You guys snapped a losing streak against the Raiders in Week 5. Now it's Week 12. What advances have you seen in this team and how much you guys have grown?
Yeah, I think especially from that game, we've grown a lot in ourselves and, just being a young team, figuring out throughout the beginning of the season, and now we're kind of hitting our stride. So feeling really good about us.
Is there an added focus because it's a division rival, and I mean, it is the Raiders?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that place is going to be rocking. They hate the Broncos just as much as we hate them, so it's going to be a really fun environment Sunday.
Well, we look forward to all the fun. Appreciate your time, Marvin.
Thank you.
There is something special about these division games and just the intensity that comes into it. And I feel like on Sunday we're going to see a lot of positive plays from this Broncos offense.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we know that there's been a long-standing rivalry between us and really every team in the AFC West, but in particular the Raiders. And they've had our number for several years up until now. And we still got to make a statement because they had our number for many years. We got to get their number now. And guys got to come out ready to go. And I want them to keep the history of that rivalry in mind. But one thing when we played, I know Mike Shanahan told us he didn't want us to really put one team over another, in terms of importance and how much we wanted to beat them.
Yeah.
So maybe you got to temper it a little bit, but still, I want to see the effort there and the passion to beat these guys.
These wins mean more in the
heart. Yes, they mean more in the heart.
It's bragging rights.
Right.
It's bragging rights.
Yes.
And the Broncos beat the Raiders back in Week 5, like we mentioned, and that started a 6-game losing streak for this team. So they're going to come in firing too. They're 2-8. They don't got much to lose. So the Broncos know that they cannot overlook them, regardless of now having this little bit of a streak. The Broncos also have not won in Las Vegas in the past 4 meetings. So there's a
Max
lot
Crosby's still playing too, right?
Yes.
Max Crosby.
That's right.
Hey, so whenever he's on the field, it's going to be a tough one.
Can't overlook him, but this would be a nice win for the Broncos to get for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, Riley Moss said you can't overlook this team, and that's why it's important to keep that week at a time, 1 week at a time mentality, because that's what's really important. That's how you're going to accumulate these wins. Well, when we come back, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin will head to our video board and break down what has made wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. so explosive. Plus, we'll have the numbers you need to know ahead of Week 12. All of that after the break.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
you don't want that to become a thing, especially with a young locker room. You don't want that to be a thing where it's like, look at what we have done and become complacent, and then next thing you know, like you let one that shouldn't slip. And I think it's just, having that sense of urgency in meetings and practice, and I do think that we have guys that understand that and are doing that.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. That was wide receiver Courtland Sutton talking about not overlooking their matchup versus the Raiders and the importance of players stepping up. In Week 11, the Broncos utilized all of their weapons in their big win over the Falcons. And now as they head into Week 12, Broncos wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. looks to continue to be effective on the field. For more, let's send it over to Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin.
Okay, Elisa. Big O, now we're going to break down a few plays from one of the young superstars on this team, Marvin Mims. We're going to start off with this first play, a touchdown, beautiful play. And first off, it starts off with a great pass from Bo Nix. Sometimes you take that for granted. It's got to be an accurate pass. Marvin Mims catches the pass. That's the second part of it. Got to catch the pass. And then the offensive line and receivers do their job of creating a path to the end zone. Marvin Mims takes it to the house. What did you see on this?
Yeah, no, exactly what you said, Steve. We used to run this play a lot when I played for the Broncos. It was just a slip screen to the wide receiver. But for whatever reason this year, the Broncos have struggled with slip screens. So I like what Sean Payton does here. It's a variation where you talked about that motion, how he comes in motion and then he starts coming back a little bit.
Yes.
Now, it allows the offensive lineman, Big Mike McGlinchey, you got to get over here. You got to go get a smaller guy and be able to block somebody in space. But by Marvin Mims coming back out there, it allows Mike McGlinchey to get right here. And now exactly what you have up, a two-way go, right?
Right.
There's no way forcing them. And if I am Marvin Mims, it's always, let me get back to the help on the inside, right?
100%.
You got big fella Quinn Miners right there coming up, and he's looking to go try to get a pancake. So this is just a great way to run this play. And man, Sean Payton was in his bag this past week.
Oh yeah, great play design.
Yeah.
Also for this guy, number 15, it's lucky it's 2024 because he was not paying attention. Luke Wattenberg could have cleaned his clock. He took it easy on him. Nice job.
Back in your day, right? Yes, sir.
Lucky it's 2020. Your day too.
Yeah. Oh, no, I would have never eased up on that. You are absolutely right, but a great play.
Now we're going to move on to another explosive play by Marvin Mims. And as Marvin Mims shifts from the wide receiver position over to the running back position, the two safeties, they're like, oh, man, I don't know what the heck is going on here. And they don't cover him. Nobody covers him on the defense. That blows my mind how you can have one of the most explosive players on the field, and he has that much space where nobody is covering him. What did you see here, Oh? I mean, how did that open up that big?
Well, first, you look at Bo Nix, right? The recognition of being able to understand defense. We got to remember, at the start of the year, Bo was staring down wide receivers, throwing interceptions that way. And that's why he is the guy. That's why he's going to be in Broncos country for the next decade and a half. We have finally found our quarterback. So Bronco country, be excited about that.
That's right.
But I love the play design by Sean Payton and being able to get Marvin Mims out there in space, right? How do we get a guy that has not, bursted off the scene and running routes down the field. But how do we create mismatches? Putting them in the backfield, it stresses out defensive coordinators and DBs because you have no idea which way he's going. But now you got a guy that runs 4.3, a fast guy that's coming out of the backfield with a full head of steam.
Yes.
Man, that's explosive plays every day.
And we're going to see at the other angle, and it's going to show him as he gets on down the field, and he puts Justin Simmons, great safety, in a kind of tough bind here, but Justin actually did the right thing by taking the outside away because if he would have let him go this way, guess what? It's off to the races. He took away that outside on Marvin Mims and made him cut back, and they made the tackle, but great play by Marvin Mims, great catch, and hey, man, we got to keep it rolling, Broncos country. Back to you, Elisa.
Thanks, guys. The Broncos head out to Las Vegas to close out their season series against the Raiders. The Broncos are looking to sweep their division rival for the first time since 2014. We crunched the stats and we found the numbers you need to know for Week 12. This season, the Broncos defense is ranked third in scoring defense in the NFL and are the only team ranked top 5 in points per game allowed and total yards per game allowed. They're allowing a TD on only 50% of opponent goal-to-goal drives this season. Denver's defense also has the most sacks in the NFL so far with 39. Denver's 3.6 sacks a game puts them on pace to break the franchise record set in 1984 that stands at 57. The Raiders are tied for 5th in allowing the most sacks this season and allow the 6th highest quarterback pressure percentage. The Broncos are the only team in the NFL with 2 players that rank in the top 10 in quarterback hits. Nick Bonito and Zach Allen have been dominant this season. Bonito is tied for second in the NFL with 9 sacks, while Allen is second in the NFL with 21 quarterback hits. Bonito's 9 sacks this year, which is a new career high for him, is also a team high this season. Broncos quarterback Bo Nix is coming off his best game of the season. Nix is continuing to find a way to distribute the ball, connecting with 4 different receivers in Sunday's win. In 2024, 10 different Broncos players have a receiving touchdown. The Broncos were 4 for 4 in the red zone in Week 11. Nix has had 4 games with a 70-plus completion percentage, 2-plus pass TDs, and 0 interceptions this season. Following his Week 11 performance, Nix leads all rookies with 19 offensive touchdowns, including 14 passing touchdowns, which also leads all rookies. Looking at the Raiders' defense, they have given up 27-plus points in 5 of their last 6 games. In Week 11, the Raiders' secondary gave 288 yards and 3 touchdowns to Tua Tagovailoa. Nix will have to continue to use his athleticism to escape defensive end Max Crosby, who leads the Raiders with 6.5 sacks. The Broncos are 6-0 in 2024 when Nix is pressured on fewer than 30% of dropbacks. The Raiders are one of 5 teams in 2024 with a QB pressure below 30%. In the Broncos' Week 5 win over the Raiders, Nix was pressured on just 16.1% of dropbacks. Week 5 ended up becoming Nix's first career game with 2 passing touchdowns and an 100-plus passer rating. In Week 11, the Broncos defense shut out the Falcons in the second half and kept them to only 2 field goals. Meanwhile, the Raiders offense has scored under 21 points in 6 of their last 7 games. Denver's focus now shifts to shutting down Gardner Minshew, who threw for over 250 yards and 2 touchdowns this past Sunday, a big bulk of that going to rookie tight end Brock Bowers. Bowers had his first career game with 100-plus receiving yards versus the Dolphins, including 13 receptions, which is the most by a rookie tight end in NFL history. He also leads all NFL tight ends with 70 receptions and 706 receiving yards in 2024. Versus Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts, the Broncos defense held him to just 3 targets on 9 yards. Another defensive weapon that the Broncos have lies in cornerback Pat Surtain II. Surtain is allowing a 50.2 passer rating as the nearest defender in coverage in 2024, which is the lowest among all corners. He also has 3 interceptions on the year, which is his most since his rookie season in 2021. When we come back, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your fantasy focus for Week 12, and we'll reveal which players our analysts believe will call game versus the Raiders. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into Broncos Weekend. It is time for Fantasy Focus. After holding the Atlanta Falcons to just 6 points and 0 touchdowns last week, we gotta give this Denver defense their flowers. The Broncos finished as the 2nd highest scoring defense in fantasy against the Falcons offense that had allowed the 13 fewest points to defenses coming into that game. Plus, they kept Bijan Robinson in check with 13 carries for only 44 yards. Denver now gets to face a Raiders offense that has given up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses since Devontae Adams was injured and then traded. The 6-5 Broncos are ranked 4th in total defense, averaging 7.5 fantasy points per game the past 6 weeks. And when you think of the Broncos defense, the word reliable comes to mind. They have scored 10 or more fantasy points in 6 of their 11 games, and they have a great chance to do so for the 7th time this week against the 2-8 Raiders. The Raiders lead the league in fumbles lost and are tied for 4th in interceptions thrown. So if you haven't already been starting this Denver defense, start now. A dominant defensive and offensive performance for the Broncos in Week 11. We caught up with rookie quarterback Bo Nix, the Offensive Player of the Week, who is looking forward to his next challenge.
I'm excited to go, a road divisional game. They're always a lot of fun. I know, it's an important game. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. It's, going to be a fun game. They're going to have a good team. They're going to be ready to go, playing them again. And, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for the opportunity we have, and any divisional games are always important.
When you go into this matchup, this rivalry, he obviously does not back down from the big moments, but it's going to be fun walking into this hostile environment because they're going to go after the rookie.
Yeah, now he played in some tough environments in college, and I know the NFL is a whole different levels, but I think that he has what it takes to be able to handle this situation, and he's been building up to this kind of throughout the season, right? He's going into some tough environments in one game, so he knows that he can do it, and I think that he has the confidence and he's got that muscle memory. He's been completing a lot of passes, and I think that the team is going to support him. The offensive line has been playing well, and we just got to keep it rolling.
That's right. He's coming off his best game, offensive player of the week, first rookie in franchise history to earn that honor. That was huge. You could tell it meant a lot to him, but he also was like, we got a lot of season left. We got to keep going. I got to keep proving myself. But yeah, like you said, he doesn't back down from big moments. In fact, I think he likes them more going into a hostile stadium like that.
I think so too.
Where he knows it's a rivalry. I think that fuels him a bit as a competitor. And so I think we'll see more stellar Bo on Sunday, hopefully.
And I think he also really tries to shun the spotlight. He doesn't really like a lot of attention. Because when you bring it up, he always kind of downplays it. But man, he's playing great football, and I think everybody in Broncos country is happy to see it.
All right, well, it's time to call game. Each week, our amazing guests will pick a player they think will play well against the upcoming matchup and call game. It's week 12, and the team is on the road looking to get their first win versus the Raiders in Las Vegas, specifically. So starting with you, Steve, who do you have calling game?
Who's the guy we just talked about? Bo Nix?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's pretty good.
Why wouldn't I call game for Bo Nix? Bo Nix is going to have another stellar game on the road. He's got ice in his veins.
Ooh.
He's going to complete a ton of passes. Cortland Sutton, Bailey, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, the whole 9 yards.
You'll get a ball.
There's going to be tight ends there again, the whole 9 yards.
Well, I love it, Steve. I'm with you on that one. I hope Bo Nix has a big game, but I'm going defense. I'm going with P.J. Locke. The Raiders have the fourth most interceptions this year, have thrown the fourth most interceptions this year. So I think the backfield, P.J. Locke's going to get after it, hopefully come up with a big interception on Sunday. We'll see. I'm calling game with him. Also think that D-line's going to get after the quarterback again, get after Gardner Minshew. So going P.J. Locke.
That's a good one. P.J., he's a ball magnet.
He is. And he said this game means more. Straight from the horse's mouth.
I love it.
So there you go.
All right, well, there you have it. Bo Nix, P.J. Locke, those are the ones that we have calling game. And we'll see on Sunday who actually calls game. So for Denver 7's Bradey King, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin, and Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, I am your host and team reporter Elisa Hernandez, and this is Broncos Weekend. Thank you for watching.